Hey, welcome to beautiful sunny Portugal and this first look at Zensphere V2. Let me take you into the Rapid Flow lab and show you what we got going on. I cannot wait to share this with you. All right, so before I start telling you what we've done here, let me first demo it to you. Let me give you an impression of what this sounds like. And I want to just quickly draw your attention that every single sound you're hearing in the mix today is Zensphere going straight to the master. And that's the thing, none of the sounds need further processing to sound sick in your mix. So we got this bass going on here. And all of the effects, everything you're hearing is coming from inside. Let me add a pad that we also have in here. And if you're wondering where is the sidechain coming from, this is a new feature. We've hard-coded mod wheel to sidechain on an envelope you can draw. So first of all, what is Zensphere? You may not have caught V1. Basically, what we've done with Zensphere is we've captured 18 hardware synths that I have in the studio through insane amounts of outboard gear on the way in, Neve API, Audioscape, Louder Than Liftoff, you name it. Like, we used a ton of stuff on the way into the DAW, and all of it was captured through these Prism sound converters on the way in. And like you can see here, we have this Prophet 600, the Moog Matriarch, the Vermona, there's sequential units, all kinds of super cool MFB and Vermona gear is all in there. We even used this incredible tape machine for some of the bass sounds on the way in to just make sure that we're able to give you what is basically a super high-end sound straight out of the synth, which is why you can put it up against a fully loud peak and kick and it just slots in there perfectly without any aggravation, because the sounds have been EQ'd, compressed, saturated, limited, stereo width spread, everything on the way in. And not just with like some average gear, but some of the best gear that the market has to offer. And one of the things that made a huge difference was the Rupert Neve Designs Master Bus processor. Although all of the gear here was really essential to get the sound that we get. The first thing I want to show you is something we've implemented that I think is unique. I've not seen anyone do this. We've hard-coded mod wheel to sidechain. Check this out. All you have to do is raise your mod wheel. Yalla, you're done. Basically, from that point on, anything leaving the synth is getting sidechained. And there's two ways that this can work. You can either set sidechain lock for it to lock to your DAW, or it can re-trigger every time it gets notes. Which, especially with delays and stuff, you can do sick things with. As you can see, I'm able to also draw in the curve. So this was the first thing I wanted to show you, because once we built it, we're like, why don't all synths have this? It's so useful. You can use it in so many situations, and it's just so massively practical to just have that on mod wheel, because I personally have never used mod wheel too much for other stuff. So let me give you an overview. What we've done here is we've taken some design inspiration from classic synths of the 70s and 80s, so that at a glance, you immediately can see what's going on with your patch. There are 0 menus except the preset loading, if that can be called a menu. Everything else is always on screen. So you have your amp ADSR, which basically controls the loudness development of your sound. You have your VCF ADSR, which controls how your frequency of your cutoff filter gets moved, if that's something you want on a sound or not. We have a limiter on the main output and a low cut filter on the main output, which is so useful. Of course, some saturation, which can really help to bring sounds more up front and also make sure they cut through on small speakers, headphones, things like that. Then we have a brand new reverb and chorus section, which is now impulse response based. We have a delay section, which is incredibly easy to manage, and we have an arpeggiator with a couple of nice tricks up its sleeve. Like you can choose to have one note in the arpeggio sequence always shift up or down by a certain amount so that your sequence is always evolving as your arpeggiator is running. You can set the velocity curve response to your MIDI keyboard. We have a mono legato mode implemented now, and a vintage, so that you can make the synth a little bit less precise and kind of a bit more weird, which can be super cool in combination with the chorus. And of course, we have multiple filter modes and the lovely Sphere, which actually we also offer a separate plugin of if you want to visualize your studio. This inspired Sphere V3, which is on our shop right now. Okay, so all of this stuff probably right now still feels like, okay, so it looks, it's like a synth. But we've done a couple of things based off of my experience as a sound engineer and 25 years of tweaking synths, where you realize at a certain point there are some things about synths that can be pretty annoying. So first things first, the way that the VCF ADSR works is not normal, in the sense that, how many of you know this, that when you start tweaking your filter and you want to make it like really plucky and funky and nice, most filters sound like this. And we've just offered you a way to tune how that transient's going to be. You can literally dial in the attack and groove portion of your sound perfectly and still have your entire filter cutoff frequency available to you. So massively powerful, huge upgrade over a standard VCF. We spent weeks on building this little bit until we had it the way we wanted it. Another new thing that we have is now the impulse response based reverb. This used to be algorithmic. Through here you can choose the impulse response presets that you want to use, and all of these were tuned specifically for synths and cover all of the typical ambience, plate, room, hall, massive cosmic event, and just like galactical. Let me show you. So that's like the smallish ambiances. Let me go up a little bit. I hope you can tell none of these sounds overwhelm your synth sound. They just add ambience and space. Here we're starting to get into the longer sounds. Let's keep going. And like now it's starting to get into the massive reverbs, and now we can go to the huge one, which can be really cool for just like, I don't know, sound carpets, like experiments. So because we know the limitations of impulse response-based reverbs, they're a static impulse of a reverb in essence, and many reverbs have modulation in the tail. We've also added a chorus, which allows you to bring some movement back into the tail of the reverb. Check this out. You hear that? Let me make this a bit more extreme. So this allows you to bring a bit of shift back into the tail of the reverb, which is super nice, but you can also use it on its own. Like this way now, I would just have a chorus that I can add to this sound, which can be super nice with a little bit of delay. Now, what you see on both of the effects sections is that we have a high pass and a low pass filters on the reverb and on the delay, and that is the Abbey Road style trick, as it's known, which is basically something apparently the Beatles used to do, which is getting the reverb returns back and then band limiting them so they don't muddy up your whole mix. So let me show you what this does. Let me take a large reverb. You see that? I can cut just the tail, or like the response of the reverb, or the low ends also. So I can choose exactly where I'm going to have my reverb sit against the original sound. And an important note, all of these are sense type effects. So no matter how much reverb I add, my original sound still stays clean in my mix. It never replaces my original sound. So this is not like a dry, wet mix. Sorry about the labeling, but we realized this is kind of the way most people expect it, but this is more like a correct sound engineering way to do this, meaning you can add delay to your sound without losing your dry sound. Can you tell how the dry sound always remains there? And here you can also do the Abbey Road trick, which is limiting the way the delays sound, which is such a useful tool if you just want to have a bit of the vibe of the delay, but you don't want it to take over your mix. And I use this a lot on the bass lines that I make with Zensphere. Let me show you here. I really like to add just a little bit of delay, but that's going to get in the way of everything else in my track. So I can just add a little bit of movement on the sides. There's just like an echo there, but it's not overwhelming all of the space where my vocals or my melodies or whatever will be. Check out the difference. Especially in the low end. It muddies up things unnecessarily. So this way you can just choose where am I going to place that delay besides the obvious delay parameters. Okay, so I hope now you have a general overview of what Zensphere is and what makes it unique, which is in essence, you're getting all of this gear that you see here in the studio hard-coded into all of these amazing synthesizers and machines, so that what you get in your tracks sounds like a super high-end studio. And of course, if you're a producer with just a laptop and headphones or speakers, maybe this is a really great hardware replacement. I think everyone should have 1 or 2 hardware synths because it's a beautiful thing to have and tweak and vibe with. But if you want that quality of sound with all of the sound engineering done for you, this is a really good way to get going, and you'll get some of the best sounds I've personally ever heard after 25 years in the industry in a VST synths. And I don't say that lightly, but I know the effort it took to put those sounds in there. And yeah, I use it myself all the time because the quality it delivers for me is also just like every time a little bit of a revelation. There's more videos on the channel where we show more in depth how presets were made for this, the new functions covered in more detail and whatnot. But I think this gives you a good first overview. Hopefully, if you're catching this video early, you still will be able to get the launch deal. If you're on a newsletter and you already bought V1, we're going to be sending you an upgrade offer. If you bought it recently, of course, there will be a grace period update. And yeah, check it out. There's a 14-day fully functional trial to convince yourself what it actually sounds like. You know, just put up a kick and put Zensphere next to it, put a mastering chain on your output, and you will hear the difference. Some people have said to us in the past, yeah, it doesn't sound as big and as fat as like whatever VST that you may put up against it. That is by design. When I recorded these sounds, I low cut a little very smooth curve with these beautiful chop shop EQs here, because what is the first thing that you have to do when you load a VST or most synths when you record them into the DAW? You need to limit the low end so that your kick fits against them. So all of that is already done in a very tasteful, very analog way with all of this super cool gear that we used on the way in. Yeah, I think that's everything I can tell you about it. Just download the trial, have a listen for yourself. We're very proud that very famous artists and producers like John 00 Fleming has shared their feedback on Zensphere. They're using it and they really like it. And actually, one other guy wrote us something that really, I'm not gonna say made me proud because this is bigger than me. This is like music. So he wrote he has a ton of software synths and the hit rate for marking a sound with favorite is about 10% on most of the synths that he owns. On Zensphere, it's 90%. And that is awesome to hear. And I hope that that is also what Zensphere can give you. All right, so I'm going to show you how this sounds like in a real production context. I'm going to be using the controllers for this. Everything you're hearing is being generated by Zensphere straight to the master. I hope you have a great time in the studio with this, and we'll see you on the next video. Take it easy. Bye-bye.